So increasingly, web browsers are being used to share modern software and also summarize data and results using things like digital dashboards. You can see an example of a digital dashboard here. This is the Brit Analytics dashboard that looks at prescribing data at practice level for various different infectious conditions. Another example you can see here from the government website looks at how many people have been vaccinated with their first and second dose of the coronavirus vaccine. It also shows the total number of vaccines given over a period of time. Such web-based dashboards can be a useful resource for research and finding results and for decision making. It's also a platform for us to share results if we can understand how fundamental web pages fit together. So all modern websites use something called HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language and is the standard markup language for rendering web content in web browsers. So your web browser normally requests a web page from a web server. This is returned and then rendered in your browser using HTML. HTML pages are made up of elements that are created using tags. Here's an example of a HTML element. This is the strong element that's used to display text in bold. HTML can be written on one line, as you can see here, or on several lines. It can also be written in upper and or lowercase. Most elements have an opening and a closing tag. This consists of putting the element name in between the less than and greater than symbols. This defines the opening tag. The closing tag repeats the element's name but is preceded by a /. Any information between the opening and closing tags is said to be contained within the element. So in this case, all the text here will be displayed in bold. Not all elements have closing tags. An example of this is the image tag that's used to display images. Here we use an attribute instead. The source attribute is used to define the location of the image. So this is in a relative folder called images, and the image is called cat.png. And if we run this in a browser, it will render the image. Some of these attributes, like the source attribute, are mandatory and others are optional. An example of an optional attribute is the alt or alternative text attribute. This can be used to display alternative text if the image can't be loaded for some reason. This also improves the accessibility of web pages because people using screen readers, such as blind people, can have the text read aloud to them and they can understand what the image contains. Let's take a quick look at the anatomy of a basic web page. There are two main sections to any web page. The first is the head section, and this contains information about external files and other metadata such as the title of our web page. The next section is the body section and contains the main content of any web page. In this case we have a heading saying hello world and a paragraph with some content written in it. All this is contained in the root element, the HTML element, so all HTML code will go inside the opening and closing HTML element tags. You can write a HTML document in any text editing software. You simply have to save it as a .html file and then open this in an internet browser. So if we were to open this in a browser like Chrome, it would render the page as you can see here. So you can see where it says My Page in the tab at the top. It's receiving this from the title information in the head section. And you can see the Hello World title and the some content that it's picking up from the body section using the h1 heading tag and the paragraph tag. The browser knows how to render a web page using something called the Document Object Model, or the DOM. This is a tree-like structure that defines which elements can be contained within other elements and which attributes they possess. This standard is determined by the W3C, or the World Wide Web Consortium. So in summary, HTML is used to render the appearance of web-based content, and much data now is being shared online using things like digital dashboards and through internet browsers. A lot of modern software is also web-based. HTML is based on a tree-like structure called the DOM, or the Document Object Model, and this determines which elements and attributes are supported.